Have we seen the last dance of the Scaloneta? The time for the Scaloneta to renovate is now. This will be the last of the nucleus that we have known for a while as the soul and heartbeat of the Scaloneta. In 2019 Copa America, the nucleus was born. Otamendi, Cunagüero, De Paul, Paredes, Lautaro, Lo Celso, obviously Messi and Di Maria, and so forth. This is the core that would go on to win 4 titles in the next 3 years. The big one, 2 massive ones, and of course the Finalissima. As they went on, the core expanded to include other influential players like McAllister, Alvarez, Dibu Martinez, Enzo Fernandez, who make up the core and the spine of the team today. Now, however, is the time to renovate. It was impossible to do so before due to the necessary farewell tours, important competitions, and the little time in between to look for alternates. As we come to the break and are 2/3 of the way in the World Cup qualifiers, with Argentina being safe in first place, 5 points ahead of second place Uruguay, the time to look for alternatives and test new players that will make up the core of the 2026 World Cup team. The time is now. As we finish this November window with qualification all but secure, there's ample time and opportunity to renovate, with the next window coming in March of next year. That gives 4 months until the next round of games, and we are just a little over 18 months to the start of the next World Cup. The time is now to renovate, change, and look for alternatives. March will be the start of a brand new era for the Scaloneta, and I believe that the match against Peru at the Bombonera was the last dance for this version of the Scaloneta, at least if they want to go into the 2026 World Cup with a realistic chance of winning it back to back. There are no more certainties in the squad. Di Maria is long gone, and the Messi today, as much as we love him, he is not the Messi that we saw in Europe leading up to the 2022 World Cup. He is the Messi of the MLS at a much later part of his career, and he can no longer be the one player we depend on to win us games. Although there is flashes of brilliance and he is still Messi, the time to look for a system that can replace him is now, even with the uncertainty of him being at the next World Cup. With 25 points, the final 6 games of the qualifiers provides a perfect opportunity to implement these changes. They will be competitive matches, although with qualification secured, we must look past the need to win the games against Brazil and Uruguay. Of course, it would be very nice to, but the important thing to take away from the final 6 games, rather than winning, is developing a new core that can bring this squad to the 2026 World Cup. Big promises exist within the squad. It may be time to implement some new fullbacks. Sevilla fullback Valentin Barco comes to mind. We saw the introduction of Lucas Balerdi as well as Medina into the defensive core in this last window where Cuti Romero and Lisandro Martinez wasn't available. Of course, we have Matias Solé, Nico Paz, and the big promise Alejandro Garnacho, who has failed to make a significant impact with the old guard. The time is now to implement these players further and bring them into the core of the squad. Can Nico Gonzalez continue to grow in influence? And can we rely on players such as Ezequiel Palacios to break into the squad? And the major question mark, can Paulo Dybala finally make a significant impact and move into that prominent playmaking role that he was always destined to fulfill? The way I see it, the Scaloneta at the moment is struggling. It's clear that the midfield magic has been missing since at least the end of the Copa America, where Argentina have failed to make significant impact through the middle, except for the 6-0 masterclass against Bolivia. You're seeing a little bit of the magic disappear. You're seeing a little bit of the gusto of the team, a little bit of the confidence of knowing that they're going to win, not just emphatically, but with style. We're seeing a little more predictability in the squad, and it is tougher for us to dominate games. And I believe the last 6 games showcased, one, a difficulty to win away from home, failing to win any of the 3 away matches against Colombia, Venezuela, or Paraguay. Of course, at home it was a different story, but in the match against Peru, we were far from convincing, and there is a little bit of the magic that is missing that they had when they were going into the World Cup and into the Copa America. Of course, that comes with any major team that is at the top for so long. We could look at the examples in history. 2002, France failed to get out of the group stage after winning the World Cup. In 2010, Italy failed to get out of the group stage as well after winning the World Cup. In 2014, the same thing occurred with Spain. In 2018 with Germany. And of course, in 2022, France made it all the way to the final, showcasing that they are still a force, but they completely renovated their squad and brought in new players. The point is this: for the Scaloneta to realistically challenge for a second consecutive title, using the magic of Messi, they need to renovate the squad, innovate, and come up with some new ideas. The main problem areas, in my estimation, are at the fullback positions, but also in the playmaking position in the number 10. We're seeing a little bit more trouble going through the middle and generating space, a little bit of distance between the midfielders and the forwards. Of course, we have the magic of Lautaro Martinez, who has come to life entirely. We still have Messi. We have an excellent core with De Paul, Fernandez, and McAllister. However, the time is now to implement a new version of the Scaloneta to allow us to not only compete in the next World Cup, but to challenge. Because the warning signs are there. However, there's still a lot of time with a very forgiving World Cup qualifier process that allows for 6 teams to qualify directly. Our place in the next World Cup all but assured. With 2 wins, we can be automatically qualified. It is a very competitive qualifying campaign, but we need to get rid of the idea that we must use the old players that we have to win every game, and use and utilize our wealth of young talent to bring them in, renovate, and start creating a new core to bring us forward. Because it is clear that although this core of players that has won us so much is very capable of winning games, under the microscope against the best teams in the world, we have become somewhat predictable, and we need to lean back into the unpredictability aspect and dig into our wealth of players that we have to come up with some new ideas. And for this reason, that's why I believe that we have seen the last dance of the Scaloneta as we know it in these November fixtures. What do you think? Do you think that Argentina should continue on this pace? Is it time to implement new players? Am I over-exaggerating? What are your thoughts? Do you think that Argentina is in safe hands with Scaloni? Are these 2 recent losses anything to worry about? Of course, the 3 away games that Argentina failed to win were against Argentinian coaches. So they know the ins and outs of the system. Perhaps that has something to do with it. But the time, I believe, is now to implement some changes, bring in some new players, give some more trust to the younger players, start to implement Paulo Dybala in that number 10 role, allow Messi to play a little bit further up the pitch, perhaps him and Lautaro Martinez playing as the 2 strikers with Paulo Dybala behind them. What are your thoughts? Y como siempre, vamos Argentina, and we'll see you next time.